Hello, friends. How is everyone? Welcome to the show. Happy Monday. I'm so happy to be here. It's going to be a really chill episode. We're going to be kind of living a very fun outdoorsy lifestyle. I should have probably dressed more outdoorsy, but that's okay. We're here to have fun. We're here to learn about neurodivergency, being neurodivergent. So it's a topic I'm really excited to talk about and learn about. So let's get started. I want to go ahead and say hello to everyone that's here in the chat. Welcome. I see Deirdre McLean. Hello. Thank you for coming. Hello. Krista. Hello. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Let me know if you can hear the music. I was having lots of audio issues, technical issues. It's been the last hour, but I think if you can hear the music, we are on point because that was one of the concerns. But thank you for everyone that's here. I made it to episode 14, I think. I can't remember. We're here, but we're going to be talking about neurodiversity and ADHD. So if you know someone who is of neurodiversity, please drop it in the chat. I want to know how many people or individuals out there know someone or can relate in some way. It's really important, and hopefully we will be part of the conversation, and our conversation will be really interactive tonight. So please come on in, get comfortable, drop some love in the chat. Pretty soon we're going to bring our guest out. I always welcome my Mayhem Streamcast. Thank you for tonight's conversation. I'm so excited to be here. I want to thank StreamYard for powering it. Where is my StreamYard? We love our StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard, for powering always my episodes. So we're here with a new guest this week. This is a platform that I dedicate to individuals to come share their powerful stories. We want to destigmatize, normalize mental health, disability, and traumatic experiences. It's a place to share our mayhem, create opportunities, connect, and be the voice to break the stigmas and stereotypes. Each guest likes to share their story of their mayhem and their incredible experiences that deserve to be known. I always like to add a trigger warning just in case. I encourage discretion as we discuss sometimes things that can be difficult and mature in nature. So we'll see how today's conversation goes. If you do not follow me or have subscribed, please follow and subscribe wherever platform you're following. I'm going to drop over to the chat and say hello and check back in and see who's here. So let's see. Jenny's here. Hello, Jenny. Hello. Juana, welcome. Yes, Kenneth Dunner Jr. Never misses an episode. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Sounds good. You sound great. Thank you. I appreciate the feedback. I'm a new streamer. This is all new to me. We're all learning together. So I like to see the chat. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So where were we? Can you polished? Oh, thank you. Getting it fire, y'all. Listen, we have all kinds of fun here, all kinds of chats and conversations, and that's the way. You just never know really what to expect. It makes it fun, right? So, okay, so let's get right to it. I think we should just start the chat. It's not an area that I am a super expert in, so I'm here to learn a lot and hopefully share information with everyone, and we can all learn together. So please feel free to add any information that you may have or experiences that can really enhance this conversation. So welcome, friends of light. Let's get to introducing my guest, Miss Danielle C. Keeling. She's an educator. She's an advocate for neurodiversity and mental wellness. She loves to have conversations to bring awareness by sharing her neurodivergent perspective for understanding and inclusivity. Yay! So she also has a blog that we're going to talk about, and her Scenic Route Nomads. It's pretty exciting. She hopes to inspire others with her stories, sharing her skills, the lessons, and her development as an ADHD'er. She's super passionate. She just wants to bring awareness to support neurodiversity and those learning environments, social environments, occupational environments. So as we continue, she's here to make that goal create some changes. We're going to have hopefully a really fun conversation. And she quotes, "Give back, give gratitude, stay humble and kind." I love that. I had to include that. So, all right, let's go see where she's at. Miss Danielle, come on out.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm excited. I love your background.
Thank you.
Nice. This is all about your lifestyle right now, right?
It is my new lifestyle. So this is where we're currently staying. I'm actually out under my RV, so you can't see it, but I wanted to make sure you could see the water behind me, the trees, and just how beautiful it is out here. So my puppy is inside, and it's just easier to handle him because he doesn't like me talking to my computer.
Oh, that's okay. So, we'll just put it out there. There might be some wind blowing. We might hear the dogs barking, but hey, that's the lifestyle. So we're going to embrace it. Everything that it has to offer.
Awesome.
Yeah. So welcome.
This is so awesome that you provide this. It's amazing.
Well, no. Stories like yours are important. Your experiences, your perspective. And it's important that we talk about these kinds of topics for me personally. And I love sharing information and bringing awareness, right? That's what it's all about. So I did make this new little background, and I have all the overlays, and I'm always playing with things. So I put tonight's topic on neurodiversity. And neurodiversity really does include multiple diagnoses.
Absolutely.
So I think we'll talk a little bit about those. I might have made something, but it's important to at least go ahead and address that. What neurodiversity is. Let's see. I found in my research that it's an umbrella term for a range of different neurological challenges. It's more related to learning and the development. So,
right. The way that I've learned is that it's basically a concept. It's not a medical term, but it is a concept that is created to take away the negative, toxic, and dangerous ways that people think of neurodivergent people. And it's to show that we think different, we process different, we have developmental disorders, neurodevelopmental disorders, and that with that comes so many strengths. It's not about being different in a negative way. It's about everyone having their own way of processing and their own perspective, and that it's okay to be different, that there are strengths there, and everyone has their weaknesses. So it is a concept, and it's a popular concept being used because a lot of people also don't want to be labeled as specific diagnosis. So, for example, I suffer from ADHD, anxiety, and depression, among many other things, I'm sure. And so those are my main ones, but to really categorize me as ADHD would not be sufficient. And it labels me as some certain way where I may have some ADHD, or I may be full-blown ADHD and have a little bit of this or that, but it really doesn't put me in a bucket when I say I'm neurodiverse. I think different, I process different, I have different strengths.
We're going to talk about all that.
Exactly.
So go ahead and clarify what your experience, when you say my ADHD, what is that to you? What does that mean to you? What's your perspective on the ADHD when you say my ADHD? So what would that include?
Well, I've never been asked that specifically.
Oh, okay.
Well, it would just basically the inability to focus is the main portion of mine. You can have the H, which is hyperactivity, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're hyper, but it can mean that you have you tend to do things a certain way or repetitively or, different things like that. So it's not always the hyper like you would think in a child just being hyper, oh, they're ADHD. It actually is a lot more than that. And they break down into so many different categories, but mine is mostly the inability to focus, and I have a low emotional IQ. So with that means that I put emotion into everything I do and say. I react with emotion. I do everything with emotion. So that would be my ADHD.
There you go. I appreciate you sharing that. That's awesome. It just helps people understand your story and your perspective as we move, through all the bits and pieces. I know that really, when we talk about learning and processing, it can be, I made notes about, like, it could be math, facts, concepts, calculations.
Right.
Yeah. And that's difficult when there's a lack of focus in itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. The concentration, the inability to sit still, needing to do something at the same time, There are a lot of different things. It just depends on the person. And I liked what someone once told me, that just because you've met an autistic person just means you've met one autistic person. I mean, You can't just say, you can't label everybody under the same thing. So my main struggles with my ADHD is the inability to focus and the emotional lack thereof of emotional intelligence. But the good thing about emotional intelligence is it can be improved. So I do therapy, and I have self-care techniques and things that I use to help me with that. So that's the good part.
Yeah, that's important for anyone that has any kind of issues. I think we talk about that almost in every episode, making sure you take care of yourself and self-care or treatment options. So, and not even like the medical models, because I do try not to go into medical models particularly. You mentioned like diagnoses, and that's something that we don't normally like specifically stick to unless it's like we had the bipolar episode. So we were really talking about bipolar in a general sense, but in this sense, neurodiversity, trying to keep it a little bit more open to different diagnoses but you're sharing your experience really shines light.
Exactly. It's an example of I am a neurodivergent person, and a lot of that comes difficulty with keeping a job. For example, one of the reasons that we chose to start a journey called Scenic Route Nomads is because my husband and I had both had jobs that most of them we, weren't extremely happy in, but mostly right. We were never supported the way that we need to be. We need a different support system. We can't fit with the standards because we struggle with things that others aren't struggling with. And without that support, it's almost impossible for us to fit those policies and guidelines, although we try. And then you kind of have job after job. And even though you're good at it, you're still not meeting some written requirement that's, bullshit, because, not everybody can handle that. For example, I learned that I am not equipped to work 40 hours a week consecutively. That doesn't mean that I can't work 40 hours a week. But when I do it consecutively for 3 weeks or more, I started to notice me missing more days of work immediately following. And so when I noticed my own pattern, I knew that, that's what I discovered was I'm just not built for it. I actually have burnout. It's like hitting a brick wall and you just can't move forward. You don't know how to explain it. And how are you going to explain to your employer when you don't know what it is? So things like that. So now I work from home on the road, and I am a neurodiversity advocate and educator. I also am a mental wellness partner, and I just love it. It's freedom. It's my own schedule. I don't have to follow those guidelines. So it really works well for my neurodiverse mind. So that's one of the reasons I'm sitting here in this beautiful spot.
So that's like a perk. That's a perk. Like you start to enjoy all these new parts as you embrace these new opportunities, or you make opportunities for yourself, right? For what works for you.
Yes, that's exactly what we had to do. And with 2020, a lot of people figured out that we got to do something. We can't rely on our employer. Look what's going on. We've got to find our own ways to funnel our own money, our income. So we learned that, you need different funnels of income. You can't just rely on one source, but also you have to make what you want. You have to make your life, what you want it to be. And we were stagnant. We were so stagnant that we weren't happy. And a lot of it had to do with our jobs and just not being able to handle a lot of the tasks at hand. Even though we might be good at our job, we're working harder than we need to be because that's just not the job fit for our brain, which is what happened with my last job. I love the people. I love the business. I'm still, helping them transition their new office manager in. But really, when it came down to it, that's not the right job for my brain. So.
That's right. Krista agrees. I know. She understands. She understands. Okay. Fantastic. This is fantastic information. I know a lot of people are really appreciating in the chat. I've been pulling up their comments as we're going. Welcome. So important to be aware of our own patterns and to have the community to watch our blind spots.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah. Yes.
And just to remind each other, if it's not working, find what works for you. Lewis Letchford, an author of a book that she wrote about teaching her son with dyslexia, she said, when you take away what the child can't do, that's when you find the person that they are and you find all their strengths. But when all you're doing is focusing on the negative, you're not going to find that. So if you're not happy, if you're still struggling, if it's not working, figure out what works for you. Not that it's going to be easy. It took me a long time, but you have to venture out. You have to realize that nobody's going to fix it for you. And especially with this, wanting to get the word out and people to understand, just the same with disability. I really want to add disability almost in with what I'm doing because although I can't relate
to,
I know, right? Although I like to only talk about things I specifically relate to, disability is still something that we all understand and that we all need to acknowledge, and we need to, what I mean? Like not just about it, but do. So I'm right there with you.
Yes. So this is something that a point that I had kind of thought of before. Am I hearing feedback, or is that the puppy? Or it might be the wind. It doesn't matter. Okay.
Let me see if I can get over.
Oh, no, you're fine. Don't move. Don't move. You're fine. I wanted to touch on how the ADHD, dyslexia, or just neurodiversity in general, just touching a little bit on the processing the information, the written, the spoken language. I spelled language wrong. Sounds, visual images, light, temperature, touch, texture, taste, movement, coordination, the signals in the brain, right? Can we talk a little bit about this, the sensitivities? I think this is important for people to understand, like, yes, this is real.
This is the part that people don't talk about. So when you hear ADHD, all you know is, like a hyper kid. No, that's absolutely only one variable of this whole picture. There's so many different things that come along with it. And like you said, movement, coordination, the light, temperature, all that. I just recently discovered that I am sensitive to what is it when you have too much, I can't think of the word.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. It doesn't matter. It'll come to you.
Yeah. But I was getting frustrated, and it was
Stimulation? Like
yes.
overstimulated? Sensory overload?
Sensory overload. There we go. So I just recently discovered that I have that sensory overload, and it comes with a lot of sound all at once, or if it's bright in the room and there's sound, you know, and maybe I'm also already stressed, you know, just certain things. And I'm starting to kind of understand the puzzle pieces. And then I figure out what really just makes me click. And when I say makes me click, I don't mean it in a scary way, but it does. That's
brings
when
awareness.
I hit my final breaking point where I can't take it anymore. And that's that sensory overload. But I never understood it. I just thought, wow, I react so irrationally, which I also do that. But
I do that too. It's all right. Hey, we have our moments.
There's triggers. And when you start to learn those triggers, you can start to minimize triggers, and you can start to make it to where you're not having those episodes. So I'm learning a lot about these exact things that you talk about now.
Yeah, I found it again in the research, and it was just, I felt it was an important note, an important thing to touch on in this conversation, just because children, when they say things, you need to listen to those sensitivities. They're trying to tell you, they're trying to give you information so you can better help them and accommodate their environment. So, and the environment is so important. And this is why, like, accommodations, and we go back to employment, occupational, and how that being able to make those minor accommodations in your employment would have really provided you what you needed and given you a better opportunity, but it didn't happen. So what you did, you had to change your environment, find something that like works for you. So
exactly.
A good
example, I could give you a great example of that is when I worked for a large insurance company, we'll say, for about 2.5 years. I had to learn the way everybody else did. And I'm a very visual person. So a lot of it wasn't visual, or they were lecturing the whole time. And then I didn't understand because I needed to see it, you know, happen. Things like that. Maybe the pace that they go. I need different types of breaks. Like, I like to work for a long time and then have a good
long break. Good long break.
Long break. Because I will stay focused and stay on it for so long that I literally need to get up and move, but not just for my 15-minute break that I'm running back for, because if I'm late, I'm going to get a markup. You know, like, come on, I'm getting my work done. Leave me alone. So it's just, you know, the struggle is real, right? We all understand that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's like people work, their minds work in their own like systems, and to put everyone into an 8 to 5 box, 8 to 5, 40 hours a week, it's just, that's impossible. Like, that's it's just not going to work for everyone. So something else I thought about advocating and providing the support systems, right? So the support systems, something I talk about every week, very important. Inclusion focused services. We go back to accommodations, and communication assistive technologies that can help, the specialized trainings, or just accommodating the trainings and being more like being able to offer different different learners, different learning styles. So I know all that is so important, and it's important for people to be aware of all these things. So that's why I bring it up and I pull up those little banners notes. So.
Well, and I want to encourage people to talk about it more in the workplace. And I know that some people are afraid to, and I completely get that. So if you're not comfortable, don't do it. But if you even slightly are able to, I mean, speak up and you know, or even talk to your HR and see if there are any options that maybe you just don't know about. Maybe they're not talking about it enough. Maybe you could get something started. I mean, you could be part of the change. You never know. But
Absolutely.
If we have employers that are now starting to want to hire us because they realize that we have different strengths, they have to support it. They absolutely have to support it, or we'll be sabotaged from the beginning. just like we kind of are now. I mean, we're already struggling just trying to stay in the workforce with everyone else. So
Yes.
we really got to make change, and I hope that we can be part of that.
Yeah, I don't go into statistics much, but I know the statistics are really like sad. It's so sad, the lack of opportunity. And this is a good question about the discrimination, or something that I was going to touch on. But do you see movement within HR professions to revamping their practices when it comes to neurodiversity? Or what about hidden discriminations in those hiring practices? You can take a minute. I'll make a quick comment on that, because I know that it is important for employers and businesses to be able to understand accommodations. So as long as that the person is doing the duties, like what they were hired to do, that's what matters. All the side stuff is just side stuff, right? They're there to do a task, and they're hired to complete it. So if they're completing it, the job can be accommodated. Not to even mention that companies have legally, by law, they should, from what I think, I'm not an attorney, disclaimer.
Careful.
My understanding would be that companies have money set aside for accommodations for individuals with disabilities. Federal law protects that there should be money set aside for companies, businesses to be able to make those accommodations for their employees. And that it is in the budget. But there's no excuse, really. There shouldn't be an excuse.
Absolutely. I need to plug up my laptop real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. We don't want your laptop to die.
But at the same time, I'll talk and say that I think that if millennials, and I believe it's millennials, don't yell at me if I'm wrong, but they have been able to push for benefits and benefits to be available, when they're, as soon as you're hired, and, kind of promoting themselves, saying, well, you think you're hiring me, but I'm actually, seeing if I want to work for you. And they've kind of changed that. If they can do that, then why can't we get disability change in the workforce and in HR and in the handbooks just the same? I'm an office manager, still transitioning the new one. And part of my job was to say, hey, if we want people to come work for us, we've got to have the benefits available. We've got to show them that we want to take care of them, because that's what people want. And that's what I believe it was the millennials have changed in the workforce. Why can't we do that with disability, neurodiversity, inclusion? You know what I mean? It's like, absolutely. Why is it so hard? We've just got to speak up. We've got to get this going.
Well, that's why we're here. We're just having a good old conversation about neurodiversity. Yeah. So let's see. I'm going to look through the chat real quick while she's doing that. Everyone's having a good time in here in the Twitch. Boy, oh boy. I'm glad to see everyone's here. Good questions. Savor the flavor, of course. We're always savoring the flavor here, aren't we?
Okay, I think I got it.
Nick. Okay, learning more about HR field. Yes, you do that. I don't really. I work in employment, but I don't work in HR specifically. So let us know. Represent while you're out there.
I know. And I hope nobody yells at me, because I may have gotten the whole millennial thing wrong. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't really know too much. I did do a little history research as to the neurodiversity, and the term, when it was coined in the 90s by an Australian sociologist. I'll pull up the thing in a second. Okay. But it really came from individuals that were saying, look, we think differently. We are diverse. We are diverse thinkers, but we're not autistic. Right.
Quit putting us all in one bucket.
Right.
That's the issue. And that's where neurodiversity comes in. And it gives you that.
So it was really the 90s. Moving forward, let me see. Judy Singer. So autistic community, and they were moving away from the medical models, and they're saying, listen, it's the way we process information. It's not disorder. We're not here to be cured. or
Right.
fixed.
Right.
Right.
It's the way we are. It's the way we're wired. Exactly.
Right.
I've got to change one more plug. I'll be right back.
Go. It's fine. It's
The
fine.
It's the RV life.
RV life. This is fun. No, this is totally fun. I don't know. Does anybody RV in the chat? Let me know if you guys RV or friends. Trying to stay away from the G word. Friends, let me know if you RV. I think that would be fabulous for this like type of lifestyle, like being out there with the campers and the things. And what better way to be like?
Okay.
We really didn't talk about mental wellness, and you touched on it. And then with your environment, I wanted to put those two together about how your environment really helps you promote that mental wellness.
Oh my goodness.
Can we talk about that?
Absolutely.
This is together for you.
And how important is mental wellness right now? I mean, my gosh, we're all pretty much suffering in some way from, we all know from 2020 and moving on. But it is so important. I've learned that the more self-care, the more I concentrate on my mental wellness, meaning my focus, my stress resilience, physical fitness, things like that, just physically active, really. I don't even want to call it fitness or I won't do it.
Right. No.
Just moving, moving your body.
Outside.
Exactly. And just all of those things, your mood, the things that in order for you to accomplish every day what you want, your mental wellness has to be in order. And that's one thing that we don't concentrate on. Nobody talks about it. Nobody, it's all hidden. If you have a problem, figure it out, behind the scenes. But that's not the case. There are ways to cope. There are products. There are natural solutions, and there are prescriptions as well. Everybody's different, and I support both sides. No medicine, and medicine depends on who you are, what you need.
That's right. I agree. You got to find what works for you.
So, but yeah, the mental wellness and the self-care is extremely important. My environment, being outside and being able to take breaks when I want, have sunshine, just so many things, even just about my environment right now has already boosted my mood and my want to be out with nature, want to get out and be physical, so that's just an example of how your environment can change your mental wellness. So.
And that's really good for depression, right?
Exactly.
The anxiety that I have anxiety, terrible anxiety. So I understand nature helps me tremendously, being outside, taking walks, being in the garden. I'll hug the tree. I will hug the tree.
I know, me too, literally. I'm picking up rocks. I'm picking up shells. I'm like, I love it. Just, it clears my mind. It gives me a chance to go, okay, and not have to worry about all of that stuff that's twirling around in my head that won't stop.
Yeah. So, but it again, changing that environment if you can, or making those little changes for your social environment. Begin to be aware. Find the awareness within yourself of your own triggers, and then start to see how you can make those little changes in your life.
And even as small as someone who says, well, I can't do what you're doing. That's not the point. A little plant in your house to add some greenery, like to bring the outside in could be something as small, as that. Mm-hmm. Could make a great change. And then making sure you do get outside, you get sunshine on your skin. You feel the rain on your face when it rains. Don't always go in and cover up. Go get in the rain. Feel it. That's what I like.
Aw. Let me respond to her. We are in the Twitch. Yeah. They are. The chat is in the Twitch, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let me go ahead and throw that for you so you can find where everyone else is at. And if you feel fun, come on over. Twitch is fun. I love Twitch. So that's for you. Okay. Let's see. Everyone's saying hi. I just want to give a shout out to Joy. What's up? Joy, thank you.
Hey, Joy.
Joy, this is a real life person that I know. Like, we go way back, years and years. So it's so nice to see someone that is like in real life local friend. So
right.
Big hugs.
I love her little picture. Says you matter, or everyone matters.
You matter.
You matter. Yeah, that's cute.
She's so cute. So yeah, I'm just looking. Hopefully, let me know if you got the link to the Twitch. By the way, I'm looking for followers. I need to get to 50. So if you haven't hit the follow button in Twitch TV, please hit the follow button. We need another episode. What is this? I think so, right? Because we only talked about like the neurodiversity, but we didn't even like really go into all the different quote unquote diagnoses that in let me pull that up. Oh wait, I'm looking in the wrong spot. But it does really include multiple diagnoses, right? So the ADHD, the dyspraxia, I think that's how you say it. Epilepsy falls under the neurodivergent community. I put fetal alcohol spectrum, but I know that I misspelled that wrong too. It's EAO. It was something I wasn't sure about. Tourette's and tic disorders, and I'm gonna have an episode on Tourette's as well. So that's coming up in May.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's interesting.
It is. So I just know that there's multiple diagnoses when we specifically talk about neurodivergent. So when you're talking about a singular person, they're neurodivergent. But when we talk about, like you said, the concept, it's
neurodiversity. It's basically saying brains that are different. Brains that are different. And how important is diversity? It's just as important for us to think differently, right? Why would we want to all think the same? What benefit would we have? So there's more benefit from us thinking differently if we only would support it and aid it and feed it and allow it to grow instead of hindering it, making it look like a bad thing, only focusing on the negative and trying to make everybody the same. Not going to happen. It's not working, you know?
Right. I agree. I think it's really important to, again, even with your children, we can talk about children. Do you talk about children or like the educational system and just
absolutely
how important it is for teachers, for parents to be able to advocate for their child? Talk a little bit about that. What would you share about?
Well, I think my main concern is that we aren't concentrating on each child and how each child learns. Instead, we're doing exactly what we do in the workplace, and we're saying, this is how your teacher was taught, so this is how you're going to be taught, period. So if half the room can't learn that way, too bad. That's not the right approach. I mean, we've got to address each child the way that they learn and help them thrive, and we'll have nothing but success from that. I mean, we already have so many brilliant, kids that grow up to be so brilliant, but just think of if we aided every child and helped every child in the way that they learned. It will be a brighter future when that happens, for sure. And parents need to be able to advocate for their kids, but teachers need to be able to have the tools to teach the kids the way they need to be taught. You can't just expect the teacher to do it. They already don't have the tools probably to do it the way they're being told, but they also need to be educated more on being able to see and recognize it and learn about neurodiversity just like everyone else. Some are better at it than others, but if they just don't know or just don't understand, that's not a good enough excuse anymore. We need to get
education, more awareness. Right.
Exactly. It's like we've got to make change. So that's huge.
It is a lot. It's a lot. That's, again, a whole nother episode.
It's a whole nother episode. There's so much more to that conversation.
But it is something to just touch on, and it's something important that I think it's, also important to bring to the conversation. So I thought we just at least touch on it, being aware, being able to advocate for those conversations. Like I was watching a TEDx again, trying to prepare, talking about you can't put 30 children in a room and expect them to all be able to sit and learn off a lecture, right? 6 hours of lecturing.
Not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. And then just as rapidly as society is changing and the way information is consumed, the learning is still the same old structure that it was.
We have to pick up with the times. Come on.
Yeah. And I'm not an educator. I don't work in that space. There's a lot of people that do cover that and those topics. So exactly. I know that there's
and I don't either. That's why it's hard for me to say a lot, because I have a lot of opinion and a lot of things I'd love to help change and that I support. Yeah. But my go-to on that is, oh my gosh, I went blank because I told you that I was going to give you her name. Chelsea. Chelsea Robinson. I mean, come on. That's my go-to to say, hey, how do we do this? Let me, I want to jump on board. And she's amazing. So
she is amazing. She was the first person that popped in my head when we were talking about that. Straightening, educating. I'm like, she's great. So that would be great for her to cover, and I'm sure she'll have a fantastic discussion on.
Yeah.
But it really does need to just touch on it, bring awareness to. There's parents out there, the educators, the school system. It just seems like all around, it's just a struggle for everyone. And people are hurting, people are falling through the cracks. There's just not enough information, awareness, opportunities. There's just not enough. So, hey, we keep talking about it. That hopefully will be able to change.
Exactly. And it will. It will.
Juana, you asked a good question. Disorders like learning and tic disorders, do we also consider them to be disabilities?
I just say what the words that I would use, but I don't mean anything by them, in the sense that if you see it as a disability, then it is. If you don't, then it's not. That's the way I see it. If I say that I have a neurological developmental disorder, then okay, it doesn't bother me to say that, but someone else may not see it as a disorder, and I completely understand. Maybe it's not. So I think it's just, I'm also not educated in it enough to maybe give you the exact answer you're looking for.
But it's a good question. It really is a good question. I'm trying to rack my brain thinking of like Social Security. I cannot remember. But it is. I agree. I like your answer. I really do like your answer. Just really leaving it up to the person. Something I do want to bring is that sometimes people don't even realize like they even have a disability, and they would qualify. They could really qualify for so many other things available to them.
Or somebody could have one of those disorders and it could be to the point of disability, but for someone else, it's not to the point of disability. So it may not be considered a disability. So
very valid.
Yeah, the level of it maybe.
Because it really has to impair you. That like by disability definition, it has to impair you in your life. Like it has to be so.
Exactly. It has to hinder you in some way that you need help with that.
Yeah, but it's really important like to just bring up these conversations when it comes to neurodiversity and understanding that all of those really are just want some consideration for the way that they process the information and the way that they when they ask questions, or then they're just asking for more information, not to get so frustrated. And I always talk about compassion, and when we talk about these topics and these issues, just about being compassionate for people when they're just trying to find their way through life.
Exactly.
Like that's all we're all really doing, is just trying to find our way, and we all have our own impairments and disabilities, and
there's nobody who doesn't have something.
So
find me somebody.
Ain't nobody.
Right? I mean, we all have our struggles. So, but also I wanted to say that even if we can't answer a question,
Yeah.
It's still good to ask the question so we can get the questions out there, and you can see that you're not the only one wondering, and there may be someone out there with your answer. So always ask us. We may not know it, but we'll find the answer for you.
Yes, yes. You know what? Something I normally ask everyone, and I didn't even think we talked about it, was any like organizations that you support or have supported you through your, you know, neurodivergent lifestyle, and you know, as you're going through everything, like any agencies like that you want to give a shout out to, or that
like promoter or anybody that's sponsoring or just working with us.
No, just organizations that have helped you. Well, you know, let me look. I mean, when I was looking through the information, there's like, you know, dyslexia.org has their own website. So really,
okay. Like Attitude Magazine. I love that. It's ADD Attitude Magazine. I don't know how you spell it, but
that's fine.
Playing off of the ADD is their point. And I love to follow Andrew. He's a financial planner, and he helps those who are neurodiverse with financial planning, and so that you can understand, and the way that you understand things, they explain it to you in different ways to help you understand and make the right decision. And just going to their website, I was like, wow, this is more information. Like, I learned more from like his homepage than I knew like all along. So it's really cool how he breaks things down. And I cannot ever remember how to spell his last name. But if you just look up planningoverthespectrum.com, that's one of my favorite to look into, follow. He has a lot of good information on neurodiversity and
planning to what?
Yeah, planning over the spectrum.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Okay.
Planning over the spectrum. Yes, here it is. Super. I will put it into the chat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I always just like to ask, you know, guests, just organizations that have really helped them. That have really given them beneficial, like, information that they wanted to just share and say, hey, you know, this organization's special to me. They've really helped me a lot. So this is nice. I always like to just share whatever.
Another organization that is close to my heart that I'm a new member of is I am the president of a organization called Sadies Purpose. Oh. And so if you'll look up or put Sadies Purpose in there, you can learn a little bit more about what they do. And it basically, I hope I don't butcher this because I don't have anything memorized or anything, but it's basically where we provide like kits for parents and children when they're visiting their babies in the NICU.
Oh, so you're right. I see it here.
Yeah. So you might be able to read it, and it's a better explanation than when I just said.
On the LinkedIn page, so I'm throwing that in the chat. And you're right on the money. Nonprofit created to assist families of babies in the NICU by donating items to their lives a little easier. So this, I have something to share. I guess I heard something. What? My baby was a preemie. My son was a preemie, and he was in the NICU. He was a pretty big. He was pretty big.
He was a pretty big preemie.
He was a pretty big preemie, but he was a preemie, and he was still
a preemie. Yeah,
he was still a preemie. He was still early, and I spent many weeks in the NICU as a NICU mom, sleeping in the hospital.
Well, then you can stand behind it. Exactly. Absolutely. Is that not the best thing you've seen? And so I just loved it. And When I heard that they were looking for board members, I said, sign me up. I would love to be part of this. It's just something else that's close to my heart. My sister has 2 preemie babies, and then I've lost my own. So I want to be sure to be part of something that means a lot to me. So it's awesome. I want to just mention that LinkedIn has been amazing at opening a lot of doors to doing what I love by connecting with other people and finding those things that I would never have found had I not been on there. So LinkedIn has made a lot of changes in my life too. So it's pretty
Shout
neat
out.
platform. Shout out to LinkedIn.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about not being on live tonight, but I'm going to be on LinkedIn Live. I just wanted to have a little party of sorts. So hopefully we're going to have like a little something. Oh, yeah, you're a NICU mom too. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, yes.
And then they do say a lot of NICU babies, the preemies, they tend to have, there might be some higher increase, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. For complications or disorders.
Developmental disorders, cognitive disorders, all stuff like that. So
respiratory development.
All of that, right. So for me, oh, yes, Mary, you too. Look at all the preemie moms. We are bonding over preemie moms. So
y'all check out that site. We're a new organization, so it'd be great to have a little bit of traffic to check us out and just see what we're all about. Thank you.
Yes. Awesome. Well, that's a really fun, interesting way to.
Yeah.
I didn't really expect it, but thank you, Mary, for the compliment. This is a fabulous episode. You never know. We never know where you're going to go on this show.
And we were so nervous about it. We were like, or I was. You were cool.
But my anxiety does kind of get the best of me. So it's like, I can't freak out because I don't want you to freak out. And we're going to do fine. And I guess, you just start trying to get comfortable. You hopefully can pull it off and it'll be a really good discussion. I think it's been a really fantastic discussion. I mean, we're wrapping it up real quick. I think you're going into the evening because you're Central Time. Yeah. So we don't want it to get dark on you either.
Yeah, it looks like the sun might be going down here pretty soon, but what is it, 7? Yeah, it's not too far away, about 15 minutes it should be down.
Yeah, we're going to be wrapping it up here soon.
No worries, this is awesome.
Yes, I'm so glad you're having fun, and I'm glad the chat is enjoying the conversation. So
yeah, thank you guys for hanging around.
Yes, thank you. Friday, right, buddy? Friday. Okay, so I think I got all the comments in the chat. Just thank you for everyone that's been here. James, Mary, oh my goodness, I'm gonna go backwards. Tim stopped by, Jackie's been here, Juana's been here, Gabe's been like Kenneth Dunner Jr. I feel like you can't even say his name without saying it in some way. My friend Joy, true, pleasure to have you around. I might not be on Facebook anymore, though. Sorry, Facebook. I'm going to have to drop it for LinkedIn Live. So, Joy, go over to my YouTube page. Go to my YouTube page so you can keep following my conversations. Anybody else?
And go ahead and just want to mention Scenic Route Nomads.
Yes.
Just check out our hashtag, our blog, and how about we do another episode just on that sometime, and we'll wrap in why I'm here, what we're doing it for, what our purpose is.
Oh, okay.
And it'll tie right off of this neurodiversity if you want.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to drop the website in the chat for your. Okay. So we'll do that because. Appreciate everyone that came today and supporting Danielle and neurodiversity. And this is a big conversation. So this is again tip of the iceberg, lot to cover, just not enough time. And normally I give our guests hey, just remember that there's not enough time to talk about everything.
Yeah, right.
You're always gonna have that feeling oh, I should have said this and oh, I should have said that. But it's just the way of the nature of the beast, pretty much.
Exactly. I have a lot to say, but I appreciate it. You did really well helping me walk through it as well, because, you know, I kind of can get off subject really easily.
So can I, but sometimes that's fun. Like, we're just gonna dance a little bit. We were just dancing.
Let's
It's all
do
about
it.
it's all about perspective, right?
Exactly.
So, all right, my dear. Well, thank you. It's been a true pleasure. I'm gonna go ahead and send you to the back. You're more than welcome to say your goodbyes, or you can hang tight if you want to wait for me to wrap it up. It's really up to you, but I do appreciate you being here and sharing and just opening up. I get so lucky. I have amazing guests. So I've been waiting for you. We've had this in the works for quite a while.
And you almost thought I wasn't going to show because I have been gone for so long.
Yeah, but you were in the middle of moving and traveling. So that's your nomad life. So
but I am back, and I'm so excited to just really connect with everybody. And I appreciate everybody who has watched or who are going to rewatch, and just help support my sweet lady here and subscribe and follow. And thank you guys for having me. And y'all have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Danielle. Okay. I guess we have wrapped up the show. This is so fun. I had a great time. I hope everyone had a great time in the chat. I hope everyone got to learn a little something salty. It's okay. You're late, but you made it. You made it. It doesn't better late than never, as they say. Better late than never. Krista, thank you. Neurodiversity is not something that I just know a whole lot about. So I really tried to prepare, and I wanted to make sure that we kind of covered some of the more important information and stuff that's just relatable and makes the conversation just relatable and informative. It was salty. It's okay. You can catch the replay, buddy. All right. That's fine. All right. So I guess we're going to wrap it up. Let me go ahead and start saying my goodbyes. I just appreciate everyone that came up here today. Thank you for coming. The end of the show. Again, we're here to bring awareness, talk about these important conversations. We're seeking to change for the greater good. We want to advocate. We want to break stigmas, all those stereotypes of what mental health is and disorders and disability and trauma. And people are just people, right? That's what we want to do, is embrace, show compassion. We want to promote inclusion, offer support, and create opportunities, have these conversations to promote that healing and social change. So I appreciate everyone that came out. Next week, we'll be back for another episode. Should I take a week off? I don't know. I don't even have a topic. I don't have a guest. It's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll see what happens. So, all right, my friends, thank you so much for everyone that came out. I guess we will send you off to have a great night. Always on fleek. Thank you, Salty. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. Everyone, did I give props to kudos to everyone? Yeah. Just wanted to make sure. All right. Bye, friends. Thanks.